Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's going to be fun. I'm very excited to introduce to you Tiffany Simms. She's a dedicated coach serving ambitious, high-achieving women, entrepreneurs, service providers, and professionals who often feel undervalued and burnt out despite their outward success. Through the Modern Woman Society, Tiffany offers a 12-month coaching program and membership designed to help women create harmony between their health, relationships, and careers. Her goal is to empower them to thrive without guilt or stress. Tiffany also provides speaking engagements and training for organizations and sharing her strategies that are actionable, that will help people to foster balance and joy in their lives. Get ready to meet an inspiring leader who's committed to helping women live their most fulfilling lives. Tiffany, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Really happy to meet you.
Hi, Sue. It's so exciting to be here. I'm excited to chat, talk about like what works, what isn't working, as far as business and just self. So thanks for having me.
This is going to be really cool. All right, let's back it up and go. My favorite question that I always ask to start is, who do you serve and what problems are you solving with or for them?
Yeah. So my favorite humans at the moment are high achieving, driven, heart-centered women who are checking all the boxes, yet they feel really empty on the inside. And part of the reason they're my favorite humans is because that was me. And I feel like society, we're in this like weird world where we're being encouraged to be mediocre. And then we're wondering why it doesn't feel good either. Because we played the rules by like, go, 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 achieve, 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 achieve. And then we have all these things on paper that everyone is so proud of, that everyone else thinks that if they had the car and the job and the family and the lawnmower, that all of their problems would magically melt away and it would be fine. So what are you complaining about? But in reality, because we chased it the wrong way, it doesn't feel good. And so I'm really passionate about helping women feel good in the life that they work so hard building without feeling like they have to throw a grenade in it.
So good. So good. Because I know, I've talked with, and I have friends who've had major exits, like the pinnacle, right, of financial and business success. And you're like, oh, an 8-figure exit. This is amazing. And then they're still, like hit by this thing that really kind of guts them. And they find, very successful people, whether an exit or not, sometimes they find like they can't complain about it. They can't even talk about it because people are like, wow, my diamond shoes are too tight. I mean, it's like there's no,
are you ever
you
gonna
seem
be
to have
happy?
everything. Right.
Why
What's
can't
it gonna
you just
take?
be content?
Oof. Yes, exactly. They're hearing all of that, which, man, that's rough, and if people are in the middle of doing something and then this is what they're hearing and feeling, I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, because like you're helping the people, behind these world-changing businesses that are making lives so much better for other people, but they need it too. Like that's really cool. How do people? What does this look like? Like, how are you? I know you've got the 12-month coaching, you've got a lot of different stuff, but what does this look like when a woman comes and wants to work with you?
Yeah, it's magical is what I think it looks like. And so it starts with learning about your own life GPS. How do you program it? How do you set the destination? And then how do you use that to like pull the levers and fine tune the dials to get actually where you're trying to go? So many of us, especially as women, we have this vision of where we're going. We also have a little bit of like independence. I'll show you I'm capable of doing it and I don't need support. I'm going to be fully functioning on my own, right? And so we're go, 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 which in the beginning was fully aligned. But somewhere along the way, life changed a little bit. Our desires and our end results shifted a little bit, but we never changed the daily habits or how we approached the day. And so we dive into that. Like, how do we set up your life GPS that is uniquely yours? I've been saying this a lot lately. I am no longer in the business of writing recipes for people. I'm in the business of teaching people how to write the recipes with the ingredients they have in their own life, because life is always gonna life, right? Like, that is the one constant. There is always going to be something that you didn't plan for that's going to need your attention. So how do you stay true to you and still get where you're going without losing yourself in the process? And so that's where that conversation starts for everyone that comes in the door. And then we get them in the community. They get surrounded by other people who are also ambitious, who are also growth oriented, who are also solution minded, who are there to hold space on those hard days, because they're going to be hard. Like, it's going to get messy. You're going to question things. And so having people who to hold space and ask the right questions to help you through that is so magical, and such a necessity that I feel like we've really lost in society. We've lost the ability to learn how to dialogue with people and to have conflicting different opinions while still like listening and observing and processing to decide like if this is information we want to incorporate with the way we see the world. And so we go through that, and then we learn the habits of high performance and how do we do this without losing ourselves. And so it's super tailored to every single person, which I think is magical when you have a space capable of holding hundreds of women. Like, how do you actually pay attention to every single one? It's because from day one, everyone's their own person.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. And I love that you've got that community training in a sense. As far as, we're really good. I mean, maybe it's just my generation of online entrepreneurs, but we got really good at, I'll do it all myself, like it used to be. You don't build in public. You don't announce it till it's ready. It's, you just,
Survival
do this
of
yourself.
the fittest, right?
Right. It was crazy making. And so it was very easy in a sense to carry way too much, and find out later, oops, that was not actually working, and it can be very hard to learn to let others, to trust others and seek help and build something that is bigger than ourselves. And then all the interpersonal things that come with being in community. Like you said, you're not always going to agree with everything everybody says. A lot of people today, like they just freak out, run home. I'm not going to play with you anymore. Like all that kind of stuff.
To see me. I feel like a failure because I didn't check the box. I didn't achieve the thing. Right. But when you're in a group of women who are growth minded, they understand that that's part of the process. And so there's no judgment of like, what do you mean you messed that up? Oh, it didn't work out. Like your friends and your family who aren't going where you're going would think. Right? Yeah. That limited scarcity mindset of I told you it wasn't going to work. No, right. When you're in a room full of women who are all about you winning on those hard days, it's like, girl, way to show up in the game. What did you learn today? What was the lesson you needed to learn from the thing? Right? Like after we've held space for it sucking. And that is transformational, because I don't know about you, Sue, but how many years I've hidden because I didn't want to be seen failing publicly. And that being the thing that actually held me back and helped lead to like the death of me in those times.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think, especially, I'm not going to throw rocks at different social media platforms, Instagram, but like the whole thing of like presenting your persona, like all these things. I saw the most brilliant thing. It was like, hey, you're actually not in love with this creator's house. You're in love with their video editing, because this house, and it's showing like all these beautiful shots, is the same house as this. And it had like toys everywhere, and it was like, okay, yes, I love that. It's kind of like starting to crack open where people have that sense of be the person, not the persona, and having that, like the real, the doing it messy, the oops, fell down, got back up,
But Sue, like, I believe that part of the reason that's so appealing and appetizing is because it's the destination we want internally. There's something in our life that we would like to be different. And it's like, actually, if I had that thing, if that house was clean, if it looked that peaceful, like maybe I could breathe for a second. And so there's a piece in our life that feels discombobulated, that when we see these other things, we're like, I want that. I connect with that person. How did they do it? Because there's something in them that we want for ourselves. And I don't think, and I've gone back and forth on this over the years, and I've stood on both sides of the fence. And where I stand currently is I don't think it's a bad thing to recognize that something is off It's where we get in trouble is when we say the thing is off, when we use that the reason to stay stuck, instead of
Yeah.
being like, okay, well, if something's off and I'm desiring something I don't have, what does that look like for me? What would that feel like in our life? What would have to change for us to get there? And then realizing like the steps you personally, not to get what they had, but to get what you actually want. Right. And so I think that's something that's powerful that we've lost track of
Yeah.
in those highlight reels. Like they're important. They're telling us something about ourselves. And the next step is like, what's the action that we have to
Right.
take to step into that identity that has the peace that insecurity that I just felt looking at that picture.
Yeah. Oh, really good perspective. I like that. I mean, I think we thrive on having ambition. Sometimes it can be hard to, uh, I guess, like, so, if you ask somebody, well, what do you want? It can be very hard for them to answer that. What they don't want, that's a lot easier. It's like, well, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. And then, but having a way that you can kind of pinpoint, well, okay, given all that you don't want now, what do you want? And having a way that you can visualize it and, calibrate, here's what, here's why, here's how, here's what I'm going to do about it. That's a fantastic thing. I just think sometimes it's like, I think people just get lost in that first step sometimes where they're like, well, comparing like, well, she's doing, I'm not, I'm only this, I'm not big
Where
enough.
I
I'm
don't
not
have any
whatever.
time to do the things that I've already done. How am I supposed to change
Yes.
everything and go after the next thing? That is
Right.
one hurdle that a lot of ambitious, high achieving women struggle with when
Yeah.
they get to the top. It's like they have all these goals and these new dreams, but because what got them successful the first time was adding and doing more and more and more and more and more. Well, there's literally no more and more to give. So like
Yeah.
we get stuck in that like, well, how am I going to go after that? Because I can barely keep up what I'm doing now. How am I supposed to add to it to transition? And
Yeah.
it's a skill that the world didn't teach us of how to subtract to add in a
Yeah.
way that's actually beneficial to us.
Oh, for sure. It's wild. I, and I think uh, it's easy to kind of get that sense of, well, I've already said it so many times, whatever it is, the message, whatever, like people, maybe they're tired of hearing about it. Maybe there's so much mental stuff that can go on. And having, a community of women who are like-minded, who are headed in the same direction of like going for their dreams and their goals and building and all that. It's so helpful to have that, just to have, people who are like cheering us on rather than going, you're getting a little big for your britches there, Missy.
Yeah, we're tribal creatures.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be in tribes of people that are supporting where we're going for the
Mhm.
betterment of society and humanity and our tribe, right? So
Yeah.
but we've lost that here in the last, like, at least in my lifetime.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're 100% on that. That's all right. So, how did you get from like what were you doing before? How did this whole entrepreneurial thing? Did you, get that bug as a kid, or like what happened?
I never thought about this until probably about a year ago, but I accidentally tried entrepreneurship when my early 20s. My mom signed me up for an MLM because I was asking for too much money. And she was like, I went to this party, all these people, it was called At Home America, and they sold home decor. If you look around my office, like I still have pieces, like they were quality pieces of furniture that I still have now. Which is such a cool moment to realize in this moment that like the first adventure, it's still sticking around, still making my home warm.
That's cool.
And I just didn't know how to run a business. I didn't actually know how. It made me uncomfortable asking people for things. I didn't really like home parties, which was a big thing back then, especially in this area. So after like a year and a half, like it just didn't work. And you fast forward, and I ended up in another MLM, and I was a Beachbody coach for my own accountability. I started that back in like 2015, which then evolved into me starting my own company. And it came from me having, I'll back up a second. So I was a nuclear chemist at the moment I truly
Oh
transitioned.
my goodness.
And yeah, I was keeping your lights on. I worked for a power company. So high stress, high demand, male dominated. Everything was due last month, pressure cooker of a work environment. So why do I care about high achieving women who are doing the most? Because I was her. And these are the things I learned and realized that like The world didn't teach me these things. And if I had known this going into it, I probably could have saved myself about 7 years of misery. And then it was like, had one of those moments at work where I'm like looking around the table. I'm glad we went back here because this is actually really important of how we got here. I was at work. I was getting ready to give a very high level executive presentation to like a board of directors and our VPs of the company for a project. And I'm looking around the room, and all of these people that I had been aspiring to grow into their positions, these people I had been asking questions of and learning of. And before I knew what mentorship was, they were my mentors. And I remember in this one distinct moment looking around the room and being like, is this what success looks like? Because I don't know that I want that. Like, I don't think this guy, you look good on the outside, but I know that your kids don't talk to you and your wife just left you. I don't want to sacrifice my family for a job. This person, okay, your team loves you, your family's good, but like you've gained 100 pounds in the last 3 years. I worked really hard to heal my eating disorder, my binge eating disorder, and figuring out how to be healthy while working. I don't want to give my health up, so that doesn't feel good to me. And then this other person looked great, had the health, had the relationships at home, but his team was miserable. And I was like, and somewhere before I knew these words, I thought to myself, I don't think you know how to actually lead yourself, or your team wouldn't be falling apart. And I had this moment of like, am I supposed to teach them how to achieve what I have? No, Tiffany, that's ridiculous. You're 30 years old. Who are you to teach these 50-year-old men and women how to live and do jobs that you don't know how to do? That's stupid. And it took me 2 years of then landsliding back into old habits and patterns and allowing myself to get burnt out because I wasn't taking an active role in my own life. And it was easier to blame and complain and feel so warm and cozy, all wrapped up in my like everyone else's fault and this is miserable blanket. And I was sitting at my desk one day, Googling, how do I lose 15 pounds this week? And I shared with you I was a Beachbody coach, and I was like, Tiff, you have spent almost 10 years healing. You know that there's no quick answer. This was not the answer. And I got so upset that society, that was even a question I could Google, that all $1 trillion industry, no one teaches people how to actually be healthy. They teach them how to lose weight quickly and non-sustainably. Mm-hmm. And I had this moment of, Tiff, you have two options. You can either accept that this is the way it is and you stop complaining and you go about your day and you worry about yourself, or you do something about it. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong, but like we're not living in this complaining woe is me anymore. Like that's not who we are. And I was like, well, then I guess I'm the person who has to go change the narrative.
Well, all right, fine.
And I gave 3 months notice. So I gave myself 3 months to figure out my life, and I leapt. And in that, I realized that I had been doing Beachbody all those years. And I was like, actually, I have my own way of doing this. So I had my own methodology that I created. I launched my own company. And for the first 2.5 years, I was helping our nation heal their relationship with food and exercise. And as I grew into a leader and confident in myself, I realized that the modern woman was born because I realized that it was never actually about the weight loss. It was always about creating harmony between my health, my relationships, and the way I earn money, which when those are in harmony, then I am a truly healthy person. And so it just took me some messiness of like figuring out how to get to the modern woman society, which was what it was always about to begin with. Just in the beginning, when I was taking all the courses and hiring all the people, everyone says it's got to be tangible. You got to be tangible. And so I was trying to force the vision in my head and the philosophies that I had into this weight loss bucket because it was the only one that made sense. No one buys personal development. Well, actually, I've spent a lot of money in personal development, so that's not actually true. And so And so all of those pieces just kind of came together where I didn't actually want to be an entrepreneur. I would love to have a reliable paycheck that came whether I showed up or not for work, whether I actually did the thing that I said I was going to do. Like, and I could go to work or not go to work. Paycheck's still coming, at least until I got fired. You know what I mean? But it just wasn't an option. It was no longer an option for me.
That's amazing. I love that story. Like, so many, the nuts and bolts of somebody's origin story as an entrepreneur, they're a little different, but there's so many core things there. And I think two things that you said are just like screaming in my brain. One was you were like, almost, it was like you were like, somebody oughta, wait, I'm a somebody. Like I can fix this. Like,
well, I guess that's me.
Yeah. Well, all right. Nobody else raising their hand. All right.
Qualified to do this right now, but me. I've lived it, been there, done that.
And with that too, it's like how many businesses out there are aiming to help people in their health, their wealth, their relationships, all of these things, and that's great. But so many are like, well, it's so crowded, I can't possibly get in there. But you have your own unique voice, your own experiences, and they made you uniquely, totally set up to be absolutely the person that these women need to hear from and to have, that connection with and to let you help them. Like it is. So I love that. I think that's so cool. And I thought about it. All right. So you were like in your nuclear, what?
I was a nuclear chemist.
Okay. So as a nuclear chemist.
Your lights on.
Yes. So nuclear chemist, keeping the lights on. You're still doing this stuff, but now it's on like the personal nuclear whatever that's going on in here to keep their lights on. So it's kind of cool.
I'm writing it down. That's fun.
Just connecting dots there. So
I love that. And I feel like I had gone on so many different side roads trying to bring them back together in that storytelling. And there was like I want to share this out loud because I think it's important. There was an internal piece of me who was like, you should apologize for how messy that was. And then my brain clicked in and I was like, but that is what life is. It is not linear. We see all of these we see the highlight reels and the sizzles, right, of these companies and how they came to be. And they look like a straight line.
Yes.
But the reality is that there are so many side quests within the journey that didn't make sense, that were hard, that you were like, what did I do to deserve this? That when you're standing in a moment and you look back, make perfect sense why you had to travel them. And so it is messy and it's not linear. And as you grow and evolve, especially as an entrepreneur, there will be things from your childhood that come up that you didn't even know were relevant until the moment that it makes sense. Just like the moment I had about there's still at home America furniture. Like this thing, you can't see it, but there's a table right here. From the first time I tried to like earn money selling things because my mom got tired of me asking for money and was like, let me try to help you. Like we'll host a few parties. You can earn a little side cash, kid.
Yeah.
And so like, if you're in that messy right now, whether you're beginning or you're at the 7 or 8 figure mark, it is all the same, different day.
Yeah. It really is. It reminds me of, have you ever seen those reels or whatever? They could be on anywhere that's got video, but it'll have an artist and they're just like throwing paint. It's going crazy. It's like, what the heck are they making? And it's going and going, and they've got it in fast motion, right? And then at the very end, you're still like, what did they make? I don't know. And they flip it upside down. And you're like, oh my gosh. This is that, and it's like that sense of this is a mess. What is this like, the joke about modern art where it's just thrown paint on a canvas and it makes absolutely there's no form, there's no function to it, nothing until whoop, you see the end result and you're like, now all of that makes sense.
Now it makes sense. Like I had to have a binge eating disorder and I had to go down all of the paths that didn't work for me to realize that the method that I created that I then later shared with people, right? And I had to start in a space that I felt qualified in, which was healing my relationship with food and exercise, to learn all the business stuff, to be able to create the Modern Women's Society, because I had to learn the business stuff to then be able to transfer it into something that is a little bit less tangible and holistic in how you talk about that with other people. And I'm sure that what I'm doing right now is the stepping stone that's going to unlock the next chapter that I don't even know is coming yet because I haven't experienced all the things to have the aha moment.
Yeah. Oh man, it's such a, when we can step back and have that perspective, it definitely makes whatever the heat of the moment is that we're dealing with, like, okay, well, this is just part of it, you know. This is propelling me where I'm going to be going and helping that ensure that I can stay there when I get there, you know.
It's such a superpower to be able to like have that moment.
It really is. That's amazing. All right, now I know you've had like some incredible experiences being outdoors that have given you great ideas. I want you to tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, what I've learned about myself in the last few years is that I am energized by the sun and I am grounded by water.
You're
And
solar powered.
you- I'm alternative energy over here.
Yeah.
Dams and hydraulics and sun powered. That's so funny. I need to write that down.
Solar
I don't know how that's tying into a workshop,
Yeah.
but I feel like when I talk about like where I've been and I talk about nuclear chemistry and keeping your lights on and then solar powered, I feel like there is a thread there that will become clear when the time is right. And so, like I said, I'm energized by the sun and I'm grounded by the water. And I didn't realize that until I had a moment where I realized, when I had this like aha moment, that every time I get frazzled at my desk, I go for a walk. And it has become my, like, I get all worked up and I've been staring at my computer too long and I'm starting to get frustrated and I'm starting to doubt myself and I'm starting to go, who do you think you are? You're never going to figure this out. Or I don't know actually how to make this work. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And all of a sudden, it's like someone flipped a switch and it's like, you need to go for a walk, grab the dog, go for a walk. And I leave my phone in the house. I leave my computer in the house. Like everything stays here and it is just me and the dog. And we go for a lap around. I live on a lake. My backyard, there's a lake. And at the end of the street, I have a river. And we just go for a walk. And without fail, every single time, my nervous system is re-regulated. I'm no longer frantic and frazzled, and I know the next thing that I need to do. Because I don't know about you, but when I get flustered and it's uncomfortable and I've never done it before and I get a little lost, I start trying to solve 10 step from now problems. And then I get myself all worked up because I'm like, none of this is working and this isn't a needle mover and you're getting lost and you're getting distracted and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, actually, I come back and it's like, this is the one thing you need to do now. Or I come back and I'm like, you know what? I don't really know what the answer to that was. Let's switch gears because I know it will come.
Yeah.
So I just make a little note on the whiteboard about like the open loop of where I was stuck on, and it'll come. But I have my best ideas, the most clear moments. I have dreamt of things that I never could have dreamt of just sitting in this chair being frazzled while going outside and going for a walk.
It's so cool. It never fails. Like it never fails. I've been talking about, there's this beautiful elm tree. It's so big, I can't even get my arms halfway around it. And it's at the entrance of like where our retreat center guests are going to go in. And it's like, all right. So I love going for a walk through the trail in there, and I'll stop each time and I put my hand up on the tree and I'm like, maybe I have a question, like, how do I fix this? Right. Or sometimes they're just like, I got nothing, but show me something, you know, and I'm actually praying, but I'm just like, it marks the spot, right? Going, I don't think the tree is going to answer me just for clarity here, and then I take my walk and every time, by the time I come back.
Does it not answer?
Maybe it does. You know, I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it doesn't, right? But by the time I come down, it's like I've had this insight and something is solved, or whole new product offer that I can create, or wow, here's what I should write to this, or you know, it's crazy how just getting away from it, if we're sitting here trying to force it out of our brains looking at a screen, it's going to hurt. It's not really going to come out great, you know, it's not going to be the best work for sure, and we're going to be miserable as we're doing this and not want to do that, not want to take on new puzzles to solve, right? But when we have an easy way to do it, that, you know, it's not super controllable, but kind of maybe it is, you know.
But 100% is. And a realization that I had when you and I first connected for this podcast was, I have practiced taking myself outside to move the energy and clear my mind and just let it go So I practiced it so many times that driving home from an event in DC, I passed an open area and I was admiring the trees and I was admiring the lawn and I could see the monument in the background. And all of a sudden, a solution to a problem that I did not know how to solve and wasn't thinking about became crystal clear. All of a sudden, it was like, why don't you just raise capital for that thing? I couldn't figure out how to fund something.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'm like trying to do the math of like how many clients I would need to get and how I was going to go get them. And like, you've never converted like that before. Like, what makes you think now is? And I'm just driving home and it was just this open field, grass, the trees, the monument in the background. All of a sudden, I was like, raise capital. I've never raised capital for anything in my life. But because I had practiced using outdoors so many times to help regulate and find clarity, that it just starts naturally happening without me having to force it. And so that's literally happened 5 days ago. And so all week I've been learning about what raising capital look like, how people who invest and raise capital, how they talk differently than how I talk now, what kind of words they use, what it really means. And all because I allowed myself to be grounded by nature.
Amazing. Isn't it wild? Like you never, and years ago, would you've ever seen yourself like, oh, we're raising capital? Well, what? Like
last week I did not see this as a thing like me and my company did. So no.
It's so
it's
crazy.
Scary and exciting. And it just, I'm so appreciative of that connection that I have made with Mother Nature herself, because we call her Mother Nature, which means that she's feminine and that she is a creator and creative life creator of beings. And as a female, I am the creator of life and being and just being able to harness that energy in ways that other people can't. And so learning how to lean into that, I've learned through nature.
That's huge.
And so it's
huge.
like not this crunchy thing or this running away. Maybe in the beginning, going for walks was a way for me to run away from my problems at work. I used to walk outside all the time when I would get frazzled. I'd be like, I need a minute. Yelling at people is not an answer. We're going to go for a walk. And I would take laps through the parking lot. Back then I would take my phone with me because most of the time I would have a call or something. I would take them outside until I could breathe and come back and like have logical conversation.
Oh, I love it. It's like, walk it off, Tiffany, walk it off. Right?
We're going to walk this off. You know what? You keep that to yourself. I will just remove myself from the situation. I'll be back later.
Need a moment, right?
And so that grew into when I started working for myself of like, Tiff, you need a walk. You need to go for a walk. Yes. And I think it's so cool and so magical.
It really is. I love it. I'm so grateful for this podcast because I get to meet people who are normalizing this, like so much we get the message, like you go outside after you, like it's like dessert after you eat your meal, or it's a treat after you've done your homework or something. It's like, wait, turning that upside down and prioritizing that, everything else is going to work so much better. It's like,
that's so funny you say that, because growing up, it wasn't start your homework when you got home for us. It was go outside. And I think my mom knew that if we played and burned off the energy, we would have better focus because we had just sat in a classroom for 8 hours. Yes. And so it's so interesting that you say that. But yet we've turned play into something you have to earn, when in reality, play is the thing that will unlock your superpowers to get the things that you're stuck trying to do done.
I could not say it better. That is amazing. I love it. That is so cool. All right, Tiffany, where can people find out more about joining you and working with you?
Yeah.
And all that.
On your favorite social media platform, you can find me at the Tiffany Simms, SIMMS. Just shoot me a message and let me know that you heard me on the podcast, and we can chat further. Like, I just want to get to know you as a human. I want to know what makes your soul sparkle. And if I'm able to help, obviously I will, but it starts with you as a person first, long before products and services come to play.
I love it. That's what the world needs, and you're doing it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
I'm so glad you were here. Thank you so much.